The killing of Christopher Lane in Duncan has outraged people in Oklahoma, the United States, and around the world. It is a global story that shows no sign of fading from view. News accounts of the killing of the East Central University student from Australia labeled the three teenage suspects as wannabe gang members and thrill killers. Reporting on the Lane killing is raising questions, not only about his tragic death, but about how some stories capture intense public, media, and law enforcement attention, while others do not.
News of the killing of Australian college student Christopher Lane in Duncan has now spread worldwide.
The mass show of support a week after Chris was shot dead in Oklahoma.
Lane died from a single gunshot wound to the back as he was running through a neighborhood near his girlfriend's home. There are new reports daily about the three young men accused in the crime, what a relative had to say, or someone who knew the victim or the suspects before they made the headlines. Tearful accounts and the emotions of parents.
You know, there's not going to be any good come out of this because it was just so senseless.
The often repeated claim that the young men killed Lane because they were bored has amplified the senselessness of the crime and kept the story alive.
From politicians to the media to even professionals such as myself, I'm sure, are out there doing the same thing. They'll grab onto it and try to make it into something that fits their particular professional agenda. And the reality is, as with this high-profile case and many other high-profile cases over the years, there are going to be people who are destined to eat their words eventually.
Dr. Brent Turvey is an adjunct professor of criminology at Oklahoma City University, an author and noted forensic criminologist. Turvey says it is a rush to judgment to suggest boredom was the real motive for the killing.
Any teenager who tells you I did something because I was bored, or they tell you I don't know when you ask them why they did something, every parent that I know knows that that's something that is not to be believed. It's the answer they give you in order to not tell you what they were really thinking while they were committing the act.
Mark Hannibut is a professor of journalism at the University of Central Oklahoma. He says there are more reasons why the Duncan murder case is receiving so much media attention.
These kinds of cases, Trayvon Martin, the Duncan murder, they have larger issues behind them.
Professor Hannibut believes to some degree the story has grown because of its shock value, which translates to profits.
I'm not sure it's not necessarily driven by journalism as much as it's driven by the owners and by the reality of the media landscape now with regards to advertising and money. And if it's shocking enough, then we'll attract enough viewers, and then we'll make our advertising, we'll make our ratings, and we'll get our advertising revenue.
Few stories keep their shock value as long as the killing of Christopher Lane has. Across the United States in just the last few months, there have been scores of horrendous crimes committed by juveniles. A boy who hung his baby sister, a teenage girl who stabbed her newborn to death with scissors, a pair of young boys who beat a World War II veteran to death in a random attack, and a teenager who helped burn down his brother's house, killing 3 children for insurance money. Even in Duncan in December of last year, a young man is accused of killing another ECU student to reportedly see what it was like to kill someone. That story got a lot of initial coverage and then faded.
It's whatever is shocking at the moment, and after the shock dies down, we just kind of go, well, what's the more recent shock?
Over the years, Dr. Herman Jones has seen many young people who have committed murder.
197 kids or adolescents that are between 10 and 16 when they take another's life.
Dr. Jones is a professor of neurology at the OU Health Sciences Center. He was a consultant for 30 years at the Oklahoma County Juvenile Court System, where he developed an expertise in the violent behavior of children.
There are 2 lies about working with teenagers. All kids are treatable. That's a lie. There's another lie. Some kids are untreatable.
So how do you tell the difference?
I believe everyone at some point in time in their life can be reached by at least one approach. But there's other times when the window, the therapeutic opportunity, is gone. And if we can't treat them, then they have to be managed.
And in some cases, that may mean being locked away for life. Professor Jones has seen many cases where juveniles were remorseful, not because they realized they did something wrong, but because they got caught.
I said, "What'd you do wrong?" He goes, "I shot him when there were too many people around. I should have shot him when no one saw me." And those are the kind of kids that are chilling, and that you think, I'm not really sure when that kid will be ever able to walk among us.
News coverage of the Duncan murder and other juvenile crimes across the country can make it appear that juvenile violence is increasing. Jones says the truth is incidents of violence by children is going the other direction.
National trends are for juvenile violence is on the downswing. It's in terms of incidence and prevalence, but still it's a common enough occurrence, and especially when something appears to be so senseless, that's what sells TV advertising, I guess.
As new information about the Duncan killing comes out, the stories usually include the term thrill killing, somewhere close to the top of the report, a term that Dr. Turvey says actually has no basis in fact.
The problem is with this descriptor thrill killing. The concept of the thrill kill is not a criminological construct. There are some criminologists who've mentioned it in books, but it's not a research term. It's not a term that's designed to do anything other than sell books and sell headlines. I think we're going to find that in this case, the answer is a lot more pedestrian than we think. We're trying to make monsters here, and maybe that's not the right answer. Maybe this was somebody who shot this gun and wasn't thinking that they were actually even going to hit the guy, and it was a lucky shot.
Professor Hannibal says such terms are also used because that is what the public has come to expect from news coverage, a change in the way news, especially on television, used to be delivered, and something he believes has led to a bigger issue.
You're going to have to stop looking for things to be easy or titillating or quick and entertaining and say, you know, I really need to know about that sewer project going in because they're using my tax dollars. Maybe I should get involved and see whether or not that's a good idea or not, rather than just sitting there and saying, well, I'm not going to watch that, that's boring. Let's see what Angelina and Brad are doing tonight.
An explanation for why the news media focus so much on crime, violence, and sensational stories, instead of news of important issues with widespread impact on the public.
We live in this culture where we want things quick and easy and entertaining. And sometimes, oftentimes, life is not quick and easy and entertaining.
Professor Mark Hannibal says it is a journalistic responsibility to follow stories to their completion, something media organizations here, especially in Oklahoma, and also around the world, are doing in their reporting on the Christopher Lane tragedy.